Hello. Give me 1 minute and I'll get started doing some stuff. Haha. Hey there, Sean. Hey, Math 4. Math Raptor. I think I was calling you Mathafor all the last time you're in here. And clearly that's not your name. Yeah, I got a bunch of pens in from JetPans, and I thought we'd start off tonight just taking a look at them and see what I think about them. I usually ink with a brush. This is my guy right here. This is your Rosemary and Company Pure Sable. This is the red sable kind, not the Klinsky sable, and I actually like these better, and it's way cheaper. And also, the reason I started buying these was because these brushes are made in England, and you can no longer import Klinsky sable from outside the U.S., which I guess they all come from outside the U.S. So I don't know how anyone gets that stuff anymore. And then the other thing I ink with all the time, I showed this before, but it's worth showing again. Here's my Hunt 108 nib. This is my favorite nib. And then the sort of a standard G nib guy. These things are pretty great too. This thing's got enough flex that you can actually get a little bit of line variation off it, but they're like really beefy. So they make like, you have to actually put some effort into getting a lot of line variation out of it. So how's everyone doing tonight? I just turned in the next issue of The Lonesome Hunters. It'll be the first issue of the second series. And yeah, I'm really stoked about it. It was a lot of work, but I'm feeling like all spun out whenever I turn in work. I'm always like, that night, I'm just a wreck from having concentrated really hard for a long time and then suddenly not having to. Man, outlining is rough, Sean. That's it's one of those things like when I outline, it either takes, 5 minutes or it takes a month. It doesn't take there's no in between for outlining. It's either easy or hard. And unfortunately for me, it is hard a lot of the time. So, I don't really know why I bought these, if I'm being honest. I thought, like, I'm very happy with the way my, um, like, the materials that I'm using and sort of where I'm going right now. So I don't really need there's no, like, real big problems in my workflow that I'm trying to solve. But, oh, you know what? I guess I know why I bought these. I bought these guys. I went on JetPans to order these, um, and I'll talk about these in a second, but, then I saw that they had the sampler, and I was like, "Oh, why not? Let's see what I can learn from these guys." But this, if you might have seen this on my social medias already, but this is 3 millimeter washi tape, which is, the exact size that I need to, mask off the gutters on my original art when I'm painting. So, up till now, what I've done is I'll mask off sort of the edges of the page and then, just paint the page and try as best I can not to go into the gutters, and then in Photoshop, at the end, I'll go through and, um, clean up the gutters so that they're actually white, and, but now, with this, it's gonna make that whole process so much faster, and it's gonna make my original art look a little bit cleaner too. Like, my pages don't look like they're not a nightmare or anything, but, this'll be nice. And in fact, washi tape is my favorite masking tape, but it's just too expensive to use for, like, the size of my artwork. Hey, Comic Crack. Hey, Peter. Thanks for stopping by, dude. I got this is the same thing as the white tape, only in black. I'm gonna give this a shot on my next issue too and see what I think of it. It's interesting. Like one of the things is like they make 3 millimeter tape like this in like blue masking tape that's very easy to get, but I hate it because the blue makes me feel like I'm making color choices based on that blue tape that's not gonna be there. Nice. Oh man, I forget you're on the East Coast. It's like late there already, Peter. Well, good. You can bring that good drinking energy to the chat. Yeah, Math Raptor, that I'm thinking about doing that. Like I always ink my panel borders. Um, and I think maybe on a future project I'm gonna try just using the tape and not actually inking the borders at all. I think that could look really cool. Peter, bears are dangerous. 3 a.m., Sean. You're in England or someplace, right? Actually, I bet, Peter, your bears are very cuddly. Hey, Kelly. Thanks for coming by. All right, so let's take a look at some of these pens. This here is a zebra pen. One of the things about buying these Japanese pens is like I never know what to call them because Zebra is the brand, but like it just has its name in Japanese. What is on my glove nowadays? Oh, my drawing glove has a Pikachu. As a hardcore mangaka, I like to have a Pikachu on my hand to give me that good energy. Right, so this tip is really kind of cool. I have used one of these before, and it's um, like a felt tip, but it's sort of reinforced by some plastic, that white plastic stuff. So it's not super flexible, but so you get these like really nice thin lines, but then you can get like as soon as you start dragging it sideways, you get that thick line. And I love that kind of a line so much. It feels so good. I don't do warm-ups as much as I should before I start drawing every day, but when I do, they often look something like this, where I'm just making little pillowy pillowy shapes. So that guy's cool. I like this. I don't know if it's waterproof. Let's find out. Mostly. It's picking up just a little bit. Is that what it's called, Peter? A fiber tip? This one is kind of similar, except it doesn't have that little plastic reinforcement bit. It's just the brush. So this one's going to be a lot softer. Yeah, look at how much fatter you can get with it. If I ever get back to doing just line art on a book or doing a black and white book, I think I might use a lot more markers like this. I did a live stream a while ago where I was like, I'm going to do markers for fun, and then it ended up not being fun at all. So I might take that back. That is cool. I feel like this one has fewer uses. I think Atoya still makes pens. The name's familiar. What else do they make? Yeah, this one does have a little bit of a Pilot pocket brush feel, except that it's not, individual strands of hair or whatever. Although I guess it's synthetic on the pocket brush, but, like, this thing is just a big chunk of rubbery felt or whatever it is. Oh, is this? Oh, no, this isn't. These are the Tombow. I use these kinda regular, but they're water-based, so I don't use them too much. And these have a terrible brush tip. Barely worth even mentioning for brush tips. All right, let's see what this guy is. This guy should be a much firmer tip. Yeah, these Tombos are really fun and they come in such great colors, but they're not they're water-based, so you can't ever do like watercolor with them or anything. I haven't ever had one dry out on me, but like I said, I don't use them enough for it to really know. So this is a Kuretake brush right here. Oh, it's got a good lid. This one has a similar vibe to the to that first zebra brush. This one right here. I am unaware of any German brush pens. The only German pens like that I'm aware of are nibs. What's the German company that makes nibs? Brause? I don't know. Really, like it feels like nowadays Japan has like the brush pens on lock. I bet there's some good Korean ones that I have never heard of. This pen kind of sucks. It does not make it's hard to get like a very fine line out of it. I should have pinned that. It doesn't suck. It just sucks for me. Is Tula's toenails being too loud? Hey, AED. It's good to see you, man. Oh, that's an interesting thing. Came with this little stencily thing that appears to be so you can practice your lettering, like in the little picture. It's pretty cool. You use these, what is this guy? Oh, this is a Tombow too. I don't mind this one too much. This one feels all right. But it is not like, so far my favorite one out of all these I've tried tonight is that very first one, that zebra pen, which, like I said, I already have one of those and knew I liked it, yeah. In fact, have you done like convention sketches with these before? Because they're really good. Actually, this is the most nib feeling brush out of all of these, I think. None of these to me feel like a brush. Um, but if you can't get a brush, a nib is a great choice, at least for me. Yeah, Peter, I do. I use. I was showing this earlier, but it's worth showing again. Uh, Rosemary and Company, Pure Sable. I like these Series 99s. These are really good. These are about I want to say they're like $7. And I like them better than the Kolinsky Sable ones that this same company sells. And I put the red here because these last about, I don't know, they'll last like 2 or 3 months for me and then they sort of croak. So I put a little bit of tape around my currently good one. Yeah, man, I bought 2 or 3 Series 7s, the Winsor& Newton Series 7s, and, I think of the 3 of them I bought, only one of them was any good, and the other 2 were just garbage, like, out of the box, they were terrible. They may have gotten better since then, that was about 10 years ago, but I sort of, when you spend 25 bucks on a crappy brush, you don't you don't keep trying them. Oh, I bet these would be great for painting miniatures, these Rosemary& Company. Yeah, I think that's how I finally got a good one, Peter, was by testing it. I think it was at the Dick Blick in San Diego, and I took it down to they let me take it into the bathroom and get it wet and snap it to see if it made a point naturally. That's what I inked, most of my first book, Petrograd, with. Yeah. The same. Man, one of these days, I'm gonna get back to San Diego. I haven't been to San Diego since we moved to Oregon, and, I have friends that are posting sunny pictures of them walking down the street in San Diego this week and making me jealous. It is pretty gray and wet in Oregon this week. That's interesting how none of them are quite, like, fully waterproof. Oh my god, 24 years ago. That is so long, Peter. The first time I went to San Diego as a creator was, it was great. I didn't, I'd been, because I lived in San Diego, I went every year, and, at the time, I was working in the video game industry, so I could get in for free, um, so I just went and went and went, and it was no big deal. But the first time I went as a pro, my publisher, Oni Press, let me, like, stick my bag behind the counter at their booth, and whenever I got tired, I could just go hang out in their booth, and that was, that was a dream. Oh my god. It's so weird being an adult and knowing people for 30 years. Yeah, the Dark Horse booth was always bonkers. The Oni booth wasn't, I don't think, was ever quite as intense, but it was, in the book sale section, it was not easy. But, like, if you're, like, the pro signing thing, it was always quite nice. Actually, the same is true for the signing at the, Dark Horse booth. Whenever you're doing signings, it's always very pleasant to be the creator. But my very first San Diego Comic-Con was, I think, '86, and I went down and, we didn't live in San Diego, but we lived close enough that I could go down, and I stayed with my aunt, and, me and my buddy Zach went to the convention, and that was pretty amazing. That was, like, I'm my very first time there, I met, Kevin Eastman. I got to watch him draw some turtles for the auction. Did I do this right? Oh, of course, the instructions are all. How long does it take for the pocket brush to, oh, there it comes. Starting to get a little ink coming through. An experiment I have been meaning to do with, um, these pocket brushes is to clear all the ink out of one of these little ink cartridges and fill it with, rapidograph ink, and, that way you can have waterproof ink in here that won't clog, or at least it's not supposed to clog very much. Oh, Kelly, the kitten is she got vaccines this week, and so she has spent the last 2 or 3 days just being miserable. I don't know if it's the cat vaccines make you feel as bad as when I get my COVID vaccines, but that poor girl, she's just been um, in bed mostly for the last 3 days. Today was the first day where she kind of seemed to be feeling a lot better. Yeah, it's gotta be so funny. I mean, she's only, like, 5 or 6 months old, like, she has no, um, point of context for anything that happens to her, so she's just probably spent the last couple days thinking that this was what it was gonna be like now, feeling miserable for the whole rest of her life. Peter, when you say the clear blending pens, do you mean like what's that company that makes the alcohol markers? I guess I got rid of all mine. Yeah, Copic marker. I have not used those very much. I got really excited about them a couple years ago because I got one of those little airbrush adapters that you can stick on the tip of the pen. And I thought that that would be an amazing way to integrate airbrush stuff into my work. And it was an absolute failure. The something about the alcohol ink does not play well with the watercolors that I was using with the and it may have been a paper problem. I'm not entirely sure, but I think I think the alcohol ink might have done something to the sizing in the paper that then when you went to put watercolor over the top of it or whatever, it would just um, bleed like crazy. Yeah, Prismacolor makes a bunch of those. Winsor Newton makes some cool watercolor markers nowadays that are kind of interesting. I bought a couple of them and goofed around with them, but have not like figured out a way to make them useful for me. So I'm pretty sure that this guy is not waterproof at all. More waterproof than I thought, but like that's too you could not do watercolor over the top of that kind of ink. Oh, huh. It kind of does look like a sheepdog's tail. I was thinking more like a wing and a bird's tail down here, like the rest of the bird would be. But I was mostly just making shapes. All right, let's do a picture of something, and we'll try this brush with it. Oh, hey, Shell. Yeah, I bet it depends on the paper you're using too, how long you need to let that ink dry. think I'm drawing an astronaut of some sort. One of these days, I'm going to get around to doing a sci-fi story. I'm not exactly sure how long The Lonesome Hunters is going to run. Um, I'm hoping for 24 issues for it. Um, but so much of the stuff is like determined by sales. It's very frustrating, actually. Like, I wish I could get someone to commit to like what we were gonna make, and then just go all the way with it. But um, you know how it is. But if you wanted to make sure that I get to finish it, if you pre-order the trade paperback that's coming out in February, that would certainly help. There's a lot of this seems to be very industry wide, but Dark Horse in particular has been like not trying really hard not to keep any stock. Like they basically order as many books as they know that they can sell or that they have already sold. And then when those are gone, they're gone. And it takes a lot to get them back into print, and um, it's tough. Um, yeah, so I mean, not just my books, but if there's a book you want, if you can pre-order it, that would definitely help um, make sure that the book comes out. Oh no, Peter! I just drew the issue that I just turned in today has like 4 pages of telephone conversation. Oh no, Peter! There's a conversation about how they need to buy a cell phone. Let's see if I can show a panel without it being too spoilery. Here's some phone conversation. Thanks, guys. Yeah, the cell phone thing, I had to think about it very consciously to decide how to deal with having phones because it seemed really weird for them to be in situations where they if they had a cell phone, they could just fix it, but like the reasons to not have a cell phone are pretty slim nowadays. Yeah, the thing about cell phones as a story problem is very frustrating to me. Like I feel like if you have a problem that could be solved with a cell phone, then it's not that big of a problem. It's like that thing that every TV show does where they um, and to ramp up the drama, they just have characters for absolutely no reason just not tell each other things. Like one of them will be visited by a space alien, and then when their buddy shows up, they're like, "Hey, how come you look so weirded out? Looks like you could have seen a space alien." And the person who saw the alien is like, "Nope, I didn't. Shut up." And then they get to milk it for, 6 episodes. Yeah, no, I don't know if I would describe Harrow County as being in development hell, but it is like it just has not been picked up yet. But I will say that it is actively being sort of shopped around and pitched and stuff. Every time it's come close, it's always sort of um, been shut down at the last. Well, not at the last minute, but it gets shut down eventually because whatever studio or whatever will have something similar already in production. Um, like we got pretty close at one time um, before Sabrina came out. I think that was on Netflix, and then they were like, "Oh no, we got Sabrina. We don't need more girl witch stories." We actually have some pretty good folks, who have a very nice treatment, and they're taking it around and seeing what can happen. Yeah, no, I think every, television thing would is, like, as much a blessing as a curse. And it's funny, like, making a TV show or a movie sounds so fun to me as long as, like, we're not talking about how to fund it or how to get it distributed or anything. If it's just, like, getting a bunch of cool people together and, like, pretending and filming it, like, that sounds super fun. Yeah, I'd be very, very curious to see how they would, make the skinless boy work on TV. They could go either way, to be honest, like, it could look amazing or it could look really bad. I could sort of picture both. In fact, when the skinless boy, like, um, when we were first talking about Harrow County and Colin was telling me about the skinless boy, I was pretty skeptical. I did not know if I was gonna be able to make him look cool or interesting or whatever. Yeah, I've you introduced me to Mary Fleener. Yeah, that's Harrow County has been optioned a couple times and just whatever, like, it'll get optioned for 6 months or a year, and then, um, it's been renewed a couple times and, eventually not renewed, so that's always fun. It's just, like, free money. Although getting something made would be, like, even better free money, I think. The whole comic book Hollywood sh like, pipeline stuff is so weird. It's, like, impossible to not think about it, but it's also, um, not useful to think about? I don't know. Like, thinking about how something could be a TV show is, like, the least, um, motivating thing for me. But people who make TV shows telling me that they love my comic book, um, and that they wanna give me money is pretty motivating. Like, that feels pretty good. Oh my gosh. Stop motion would be amazing. A Phil Tippett thing would be incredible. Leica is actually not too far from me. I think they're maybe, like, 40 miles from my house, their studio. I think the stuff that Leica does is absolutely beautiful, but it's a little bit, too perfect sometimes, I think. Like, I think they lose some of the stop motion magic, but the fact that they're able to is absolutely incredible. Yeah, I need to follow up. I met some of the people who worked there at, a local convention years ago, and they were like, "If you ever want a tour, give us a holler." And, I just got busy and never followed up on it, but yeah, I would love to tour that place. Did they do Pinocchio? That new Pinocchio movie? The Guillermo del Toro. No, Leica did not do A Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know if there's a studio that did them. What's the name of the director who directed that, though? I was watching a thing about him recently, and he was just talking about how irritating it is that, what's his name gets credit for directing A Nightmare Before Christmas when he didn't. No, Tim Burton didn't direct it. Um, I think he wrote it. Directed by Henry Selick is was the director. Same guy that directed, actually, let me double check that. Yeah, he did do James and the Giant Peach and Coraline. Henry Selick, this guy. Yeah, the funny thing I saw was he was just talking about how weird it is to direct a movie, and then everyone talks about how Tim Burton directed it, and it's like, and I even thought Tim Burton directed it until recently. You get that a lot in comic books for some reason, where like, in spite of what you put in the credits, like people will always sort of miss um, assign credit. Like I wrote a ton of the backup stories in the back of Harrow County, and Cullen got like reviews for him, gave Cullen credit for it about half the time. Even though like they were a one-page story and the credits were on the page. Is Tim Burton's Wednesday the new Wednesday series on Netflix? I actually don't have a Netflix account right now, so I'm missing a lot of new shows. You know, Sean, writing a one-page story is like, I mean, it's hard and it's easy, kind of. My process for those was actually pretty fun, where I would just sort of like, um, think of something, like just an idea. Like there was one about a bat boy. And I can't even remember how the story went now, actually. But I remember there was a house we went to in North Carolina that was abandoned, and it had like so many bats living in the attic that like bat poop was just sort of like seeping out of the walls. And I was thinking about that. I was like, I can do a one-page story around that idea of just a house full of bats. And my process was that I would just walk around the block until I had a one-page story, and then I would come home and write it, and that was it. Yeah, that mold dude was one of my favorites too. Actually, hold on. I have the original art for that. And this was 100% inspired by um, our house in San Diego that had constant mold problems. And so I was just thinking about a mold person that you would never know was there. It's terrifying. Simon Roy drew this and, did such a good job. Just beautiful. I love his, like, rounded panel borders. Being a homeowner makes things like mold viscerally terrifying. Yeah, that was actually a mistake. We just sent it to Simon and we're like, "Here's the script," but nothing in the script specified that it was, took place in Harrow County times. Um, but we decided it didn't matter, that it was just fun enough to keep it going. Oh my gosh. A basement apartment has gotta be rough. Like, we're in a, our current house is a split level, so, like, half the house is sort of partially submerged, and, so far it has not gotten moldy, but, there's definitely, like, a sense of dampness that that sort of exists in as soon as you put a building underground. Maybe submerged isn't the right, uh no, not in water. That might not be the right, I guess it feels like it's submerged. It's just halfway underground, like a basement. Ooh, Orca's Island sounds nice. Oh my god, a space nun is a great idea. Like a follow-up to what was that, space horror movie, with the dude from, Jurassic Park was in it, where they took their spaceship and it went to hell. Dang, what was the name of that movie? Yeah, the Sam Neill one, Event Horizon, exactly. Thanks, everyone. Like, doing a sequel to Event Horizon where a space nun goes out to do an exorcism on outer space would be amazing. Yeah, there is a pun in there somewhere, Shell, but I'm not finding it yet. We'll get there. Oh, Sean, that sounds like it could be very cool. I have I have a sci-fi story in my head, um, but I don't know how popular it would be, but it's actually one that I've been thinking about a lot. Oh, good. For those following along, Tibbs is our little kitten. But I've been avoiding it, but I need to figure out how the back of this helmet works. Actually, I wasn't even meaning it, but like having this sort of square off up there makes it look more like a nun's habit. Hey, well, thanks for stopping by, Sean. It was nice chatting. Saying that she's Irish makes me want to make her look like Sinead O'Connor. Oh my god. Those flying nuns would be amazing. Flying nun wings on her helmet. Yeah, right? Like, how would you even get a flying nun TV show made today? See how I can arrange this so you can see my palette a little bit. This, by the way, well, we can do it a little bit right now. This, when your palette gets stained like this, you can see how it has this pink hue to it. Uh, The magic eraser is the secret to like getting that cleaned up. Look at that. I couldn't believe it when I learned that. That is such a useful trick. Oh yeah, I don't even know how alcohol would work on that. Like, but the magic eraser is just like boop boop. Yeah, man, I love magic erasers, but it actually I've like taken the paint off of so many doors, being thinking I would just get those fingerprints right off of there. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Ed bass. Is it ed bass or ed bass? Nice. Like the beer. Man, what color? What the hell do nuns look like? Kind of white down the front and black on the down the sides. So on this, I think I would do like this will be white, and then maybe the everything below that will be black, and then part of this will be black. Did Madonna have ultramarine? Is that's in the like a prayer video, right? Oh, like a Renaissance Madonna. Yep, you can tell I'm incredibly religious. Let's hit this with the hair dryer. That's actually muting when I hit mute, right? So it's not being super loud and obnoxious when I hit the run the hair dryer. Good, perfect. Oh my gosh, yeah, this could be a Meta Barons character. Yo, Ibrahim, what's up, dude? Thanks, man. Thanks for popping by. If anyone likes toys and shit, go check out Ibrahim's channel. He's got does a lot of cool, really cool custom toy stuff. I mean, on top of like making super sick comics and stuff. It is totally, um, re like, they dry out on my palette, and then I get them wet again. So here's my palette right here, and some of these colors have been on here for, like, a year or more. Some of them I just absolutely tear through, like, I use, my yellow I go through a lot, my, yellow ochre I go through a lot, burnt umber I tear through, my, Prussian blue I use a ton, black, obviously, my, um, uh, Payne's gray I use really, really quick. Yeah, no, I mean, part of it for me has just been to get my colors vibrant is just about finding the right pigments. I've spent so much fucking money for trying to find colors that work for me. But here, I'll show you some of my favorites though. Like these pyrrole, I think that's how you pronounce it. Colors are incredible for getting like uh this pyrrole scarlet is one of my favorite colors. It's kind of dirty on my palette, but it's this stuff right here. It's just a really, really great, like great orange color. And this is the pyrrole red too, which is just a perfect platonic red. It's just great. And then I use Indian yellow. I love this stuff. It's this color, this very orangey yellow, but it's just super like just gorgeous and saturated. Um, and what else? Prussian blue I use a lot. It's a little bit of a sort of a not very well, I guess it's really saturated, but the real secret blue, like my favorite blue color is um, this M. Graham and Company turquoise. This stuff, it's this color right here, which I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but it's just such like a bright, beautiful blue. So like the trick is to use like the highest quality paints that you can afford, and then to um, actually just mix the the brightest colors together, kind of, or like the most saturated, I guess. Um, yeah, because it's really easy to like on your palette just make everything muddy. So if you start from really like saturated true colors, then you can always go muddy with it, or you can always just add water to go lighter with it. Yeah, like the most of these are not like how do they where do they have it on here? Most of these will say like how many different pigments are used. Um, and usually like some of the best colors are usually just a single pigment. Um, so like the Indian yellow, uh, it just lists one pigment here, but I gotta have something that lists a bunch of pigments. Now this stuff, the scarlet pyrrole only has one. Cobalt teal. Trying to use this stuff less just because of the cobalt's not good for you. I did manage to get all of the cadmium out of my palette, which is nice because those are like nice bright colors, but terrible for you. This is my favorite yellow right now, Hansa yellow, which like um, I've been feeling more and more like yellow is the secret color in under every bright color. Like, as far as, like, anything green or red, it's like yellow is the secret to making those bright. Yeah, gouache is tricky for me, like, I have, unless it's, like, really expensive stuff, it always comes out a little bit chalky and gray to me. Yeah, I think you're right, Peter, like, that yellow is just, like, yellow, I guess, just has the highest chroma, like, it has the highest saturation of any other pigment, so just the tiniest bit can, like, even if you can't see it, like, really consciously, it'll just screw up your whole mix. You know, the Winsor Newton paints, as long as you're using the, professional ones, like these guys, um, you might be good, but the Cotman colors are very, like, they're pretty crappy. Those are I used those for years in my sketchbook, and as soon as I switched to, like, using the pro line stuff, I couldn't believe that I would use those Cotmans. Yeah, Peter, I do know the origin of Indian yellow, and for anyone who doesn't, it's kind of sad. They don't do it like this anymore, but originally it was, in India, they would feed cows nothing but mangoes, which had to have been terrible for those poor cows, but then they would collect their urine and dry it, and, what was left over was, an incredible, beautiful was it just mango leaves? But it'd make a beautiful color. So this stuff is what does it say it's made out of? I don't even know how to pronounce this. Isodone I I I-S I can't say that. Like I said, this stuff is good though. This stuff is not urine. This is, made in a lab nowadays. There's some great, um, videos on YouTube. I wonder if I could find them to, like, link in the description or whatever, but, um, yeah, the way they get pigments is bonkers. Like, there's no like, nowadays, I guess they can simulate a lot of stuff in the lab and figure it out. And they can use supercomputers to sort of predict, like, what chemical compounds will be able to produce what colors and stuff, but, man, in the olden days, just the way that they all the different ways that they found pigments is just bonkers. Oh, you have a big chunk of, like, the old the urine yellow? That's amazing. I would love to see because I doubt I've ever used the old pigment. I wonder, like, I would be very curious to see how different it is from what they make, synthesized in the lab nowadays. Where was there was a video I saw on YouTube where there was, I thought it might be, like, MIT or someplace had, like, a was keeping a collection of pigments, and they said they had the one of the largest in the world. And some of the stuff is, like, they'll have a vial with just, like, barely an ounce or less in it, and that's, like you know, $200,000 worth of pigment. Oh, no way. Mary Cassatt is, like, one of my favorite painters, and I guess pastel drawers? Like, she gets a lot of, credit, but I don't think she gets even remotely as much credit as she deserves. Sennelier? Is that how you say it? Is that a brand? Thanks, Kelly. My desk always ends up being a mess after doing these live streams. 'Cause usually I have a taboret just off to the side, and usually that's where everything lives. But then when I'm trying to get it onto this thing, yeah, the wet on wet is a fun way to blend. And then when you use the airbrush, you can sort of, like, push it around a little bit. But now we get to cover the whole thing up. Yeah, the Kirby crackle. Such a, like, weird and cool thing for Jack Kirby to, like, have one way of drawing space dust that, like, that so many people, including myself, have, like, totally swiped. I'm just working in my sketchbook, and this page is gonna take forever to flatten out. Usually I just, close the book and let the pages flatten out from just being in their book. Um, I have in the past, I haven't really done this in a sketchbook, but with other pieces that were buckling, um, I have, wetted the back of it and then put it in between some weight to dry. But you have to be careful with that, obviously. But it totally works. Just let those paper fibers stretch out again, and then when they dry up, make sure they dry up in the right shape. Yeah, some of the stuff conservators do is wild. And you probably have opinions about the conservators on YouTube, but, I would be terrified to have that for a job. With watercolors, obviously, which is, like, my main thing, you just can't do that, obviously. Submerging them, that is. Do they do conservation where you're at, or do they just do the does your department just do the photography and stuff? Do you guys do 3D scanning too? Oh, actually, I guess if you don't wanna talk about your job on my YouTube stream, that's totally okay too. Oh, paper paper conservation is like that's something am very curious about, especially, like, in the comics field. I know there's a lot of, great comics work that was done on incredibly bad paper. Do you feel like telling people where you work, Peter? That is so great, by the way. I don't know if I ever told you how impressive that is to me. Seems like such a really fun and super cool job. I mean, I'm sure there's days when it's like a job, but man, the amount of really cool stuff you get to manhandle. You never get to touch it? Gotta sneak in a little bit of a touch. I'm just kidding, don't do it. You know, Peter, I had that same problem. I one time touched art by mistake. Oh my gosh. Some artists, like, it feels like when they make art, they're like, "I'm gonna see how to fuck up a conservator's day," or maybe make a conservator's day, depending on their attitude, I guess. There was a painting at I think it was at the MoMA in San Francisco. I wish I could remember the artist, um, but he had done an oil painting. It was like an abstract piece, but the uh, oil paint in some places was like almost 9 inches thick, and I was reading about it later about how conservators were still fucking with it because it was like 30 or 40 years old and hadn't fully dried yet, and the paint was cracking, obviously terribly. Oh my god. Color fast to go. That's I'm terrified about the number of paintings that are painted on, like, oil paintings on an acrylic ground. I really feel like in 100 years or 200 years from now, we're gonna find out that that actually is not as archival as people think. Thanks, Peter. This is my favorite, black ink. What's my I guess it's my second favorite. I really loved Pro Black, but it was too shiny, um, for scanning, and this is the FW acrylic ink. It makes such a beautiful black, and it's not perfectly matte, but it's pretty matte. Hey, Mark. Thanks for stopping by, Ibrahim. That was really cool, dude. I'm glad you could stop by, Mark. We're working on a space nun tonight. She's going to exercise outer space. She is on her way to the event horizon. She's gonna, you know, fix it. Here's where I express my strong curvy crackle opinions, and that is that the black circles are negative space, and that the crackly light part is like a nebula or something. I'm gonna have to look up what a holy sepulcher. I don't even know what that is. Man, I am not good when it comes to my Catholicism. Oh, hey Francis, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, no, I guess if you're learning about religion from art, then the art's doing its job. Ramon. Yeah, you might think God is great, but have you seen this? Have you seen this? Ramon is another great cartoonist. He's old school. I'm already getting sick of drawing stars. Now I know how God felt when he made Earth in his sketchbook and was like, "Yeah, it's all right." Oh, I don't remember the sketchbook section. I think I got it in I got just talking about Sentient from TKO Press. I think I got it in the box form instead of the trade paperback version. But I should hunt that down. Gabriel Walta is an amazing artist. God using AI prompts. Actually, that sounds like probably how we ended up where we are. All right. Well, we've been going for almost 2 hours. I think I'm going to call it quits. Every time I start one of these streams, I'm like, okay, this time I'm going to keep it to an hour. And every time I go way over. Hey, but thanks everyone for coming out. It really means a lot. I have so much fun just noodling around and hanging out. Um, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed coming up with Space Nun. That was pretty fun. And trying out these pens. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to call it quits. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, ED. Thanks, Francis and Maat and Math Raptor. All right, everybody. Good night, Mark. Have a good one.